you haven't met, this is Jason. He is our new AV guy.
I'm East Brookfield Cable Access. Hi.
So, yeah, he is the moderator in Spencer now. So, the YouTube channel will be available. Is it live or just?
It's not live yet. We're going to work on that.
We're kind of easing into it. We taped the
I could go live right now.
Meeting 2 weeks ago. We taped Monday night's meeting. We're kind of easing into it to try to get the information out to people. So this is an informational meeting only. We are not posted. We're not going to make any decisions. We're not going to sign any contracts. We are going to have a presentation from Solid Waste and from BFI, Allied Waste, Republic, we're due for a contract. They're looking to get a 5-year contract. Unfortunately, through the years, the waste pickup and the wheelabrator contract are off by a year. We're due for a wheelabrator contract next year. They're in negotiations right now, and the Allied Waste is looking for a 5-year contract right now. With a couple of provisions, we may be able to get a 1 year. The gist of it is Allied Waste through the corporation, they're trying to get away from bag pickup. They want to go with totes. They want to go with the big 95-gallon totes that get picked up by the truck. So did you have a presentation or just answer questions? Mark, did you?
If I could just add through the chair. We say wheelabrator. Wheelabrator is the waste to energy facility in Millbury. It's now under the auspices of a company called Wind Waste. Essentially, all the trash, all the garbage, not the recyclables, but all the garbage that gets picked up from town gets transported there, and it gets burned to create heat, which creates steam, which creates movement in turbines, and then the power comes back into it. They can generate at maximum capacity about 46 kilowatts of energy, at a time. So it's 2 elements is what we're talking about.
Correct.
This is just about the pickup process, not about wheelabrator. Wheelabrator comes on next year with a proposal for a 20-year contract for us and a bunch of area towns and
then the third aspect is the recycling center. Allied Waste provides the dumpsters, but that's a separate. That's where you drop off, and it's recycling only. We do have a 30-yard dumpster that's open that you can throw trash into, but that's not really part of the recycling center. It just happens to be down there. So there's 3 aspects of solid waste. 2 of the aspects are coming due. The wheelabrator contract was a 20-year contract. It started at $56 a ton or something, and now it's up to like 92 or it's 92 or 96 now.
Yeah, it's just under.
Yeah. So I mean, it's. With the 20-year contract and all the new EPA and DEP regulations, we really have absolutely no clue how that contract is going to come in next year. So before we commit to a 5-year contract with Allied Waste, the other aspect of the solid waste department and all the fees that we collect and are to be paid out, that's a real unknown. And I am hesitant to commit to a 5-year contract not knowing what solid waste would be next year. If anybody's done their roof or anybody did a clean out and you bring trash to where? To that.
Where?
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Someone had to.
At the Ware West Brookfield line, I brought shingles from my daughter's roof down there, and it's $190 a ton. They crush it up and they bring it to Ohio. It's not a cheap thing to truck trash. Allied Waste has an agreement with Casella Waste, and they bring it to various places, don't they? They landfill, they bring it to Ohio. There's some trash to energy when it's available, but I mean, it's a variable. It's not what we're doing now. Now it just goes to wheelabrator and all gets burned up. So we have some open-ended questions before we commit to a waste. So did you want to go over any numbers for the contract that we're looking at?
Well, we just got a brand new version of the contract proposal today. So I'll defer to get opinions from the public to kind of go over some of those numbers.
Okay, Dan.
This current fiscal year, our contract cost for collection is about $160,000. Give or take a few. That's more or less a constant. The variable element, the big variable element of a total solid waste budget for the town is in fact the tonnage that we tip. It's up, it's down, it varies week to week. On average, in the past, we've tracked it at somewhere between 13 and 14 tons a week. But again, that varies. With COVID, it went up quite a bit because people were home, they were cleaning out garages, they were cleaning out basements, barns, whatever. So the point being, there is a variable in that aspect of our solid waste costs. The key there is that to some extent, everyone has some control over how much they pay by how much they throw in the trash. Because the alternative is you recycle. And that reduces how much gets brought to and tipped at the Wheelabrator facility. So if you're paying $100 a ton, close to it currently, for trash, but you can remove by way of recycling 10, 15 pounds. That means ultimately we pay less as a town because we don't get charged separately for the recycling element. It gives an element of control. Can you eliminate it? No, not everything. Most things are not recyclable, and I think people would agree that a percentage of your trash is recyclable. But that does leave currently an element of cost control in the user's needs.
I would say over the years, the tonnage has gone down because the recycling has gone up. People are very conscious of paying $2 a bag. You want to make sure whatever's recyclable is recycled and what goes in the bag doesn't, is just straight trash. Now, as I drive around on Thursdays, I see a lot of houses that have one bag or no bags. There's a lot of people that don't have a lot of trash that they throw out. There are other houses you go by, you wonder what they're doing because there's 8 bags out there every single week. That is pay as you throw. Pay as you throw, you want to have just what you need to in the bag. If we get the bins, Mr. Carpentier and I differ a little bit on the pay as you throw. He's under the impression that everybody is used to buying blue bags and you'll continue to buy blue bags. If it's in a blue bin that you can't see through, I don't know if everybody's going to buy blue bags. I don't think I would. You're not going to be able to see it. So it kind of gets away from the pay as you throw. We sell 63,000 bags. We have for like 20 years. It's unbelievable. We sell 63,000 bags every single year. We're very consistent on that. So at $2 a bag, that's $126,000. If we get rid of the pay as you throw, that has to be added into the fee and it becomes a flat fee. And you're going to have the bin, whether there's 1 bag in it or 12 bags in it, and you stuff it down and make sure that you can close the lid. It becomes a flat fee, and the people that are actively recycling and are very conscious of what they throw away, there's a chart. Where did we get that? The chart that somebody sent from 4 different towns when they went away from pay as you throw and went back to.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's from the Central Mass Municipal. It was from Mass DEP. They did a presentation.
Mass DEP, okay, yeah. The various towns that went away from pay as you throw, now that we're all trained as pay as you throw and we recycle great, the tonnage goes up and the recycling goes down because you're not doing it by the bag. You're doing it by this 95-gallon bin. So that's something that we need to consider. The other thing I'd like to consider is the totes themselves. If you only have 1 bag a week, you got a 95-gallon tote. Where are you going to put it? How are you going to get it out to the end of the driveway? Plowing and snow. What are you going to do if it snows Wednesday night and it's out on the edge of the road? And our guys are plowing. They're there to remove snow from the road, not to drive around trash cans. Who pays for the damage? How long does it take to get a new bin? If the wheels get cracked off? If you don't pick it up Thursday as soon as the trash truck comes by and it freezes into the snowbank, who's going to come get it out of the snowbank? I don't think you're going to be shoveling it out of the snowbank. You know, I'm trying to be practical. John McCrae is not here. If you know where John McCrae lives, he's got a huge, long driveway. How's he getting it down there? I alluded to Mr. Fayard. He lives on the Young Road. Do you take all your bags out, put it in the truck, put the tote in the truck, bring it down to the end of the road, take the tote out, put the bags back in the tote? you know, just the logistics of the totes. We're not used to totes. If it was Shrewsbury or Boston or Worcester and, you know, you live on the sidewalk, it's a different situation. So where do you put the tote? What are you going to do with the tote? How do you move the tote? And what are you going to do with 2 totes? You're going to have a tote for recycling and a tote for trash. These are all things that we need to consider. Now, we can sign a 1-year contract or sign a contract with Allied Waste. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Republic. It's changed. Okay, it was BFI, Allied Waste, now it's Republic. Okay, it's all the same company, just keep getting bought out. The variable is going to be due next year with Wheelabrator. I mean, there's a cost to Wheelabrator, there's a cost to Casella. You've given us prices for Casella, but I mean, it's variable. So our costs are different. Now, 25 years ago, I said a bad thing, and I'll say it again. At some point in time, we can discuss getting out of the trash business. We don't need to be in the trash business. Barry doesn't do it, New Braintree doesn't do it, Oakham doesn't do it, Charlton doesn't do it, Oxford doesn't do it. And as of July 1st, 2025, West Brookfield doesn't do it. They just said, we're out of the trash business. Everybody's on their own with private haulers. Bob's not here this evening, but he is on the negotiating committee with Wheelabrator, and he has all the statistics from area towns. If you're not familiar with Spencer's transfer station, it's $2.25 for the sticker and $2 a bag. Only 20% of the households in Spencer participate. 80% of Spencer is private haul. The contract that we're looking at with Allied Waste is a 5-year contract for trash pickup. If we lose 10%, 20%, or 25% of the end users, it gets split by whoever's left. So there's a lot of things to consider. Myself, I called this meeting, Amber agreed, Bob agreed. Let's have some public input before we just sign on a dotted line and you're all on the hook. July 1st, 2027, a truck drops 2 dumpsters in front of your house, and congratulations, you're paying. Mr. Thayer.
If he could just make himself like visible.
No, he's recording on YouTube. Oh.
Where's the camera?
Yeah, it's
The camera's in the back, and if you get really mad, we'll be able to hear you. Otherwise, if you'd like me to repeat it, or if you'd like to come up towards the front.
We're working on more microphones, but please be patient.
This is the 3rd thing we've done so far with YouTube. It is.
I'm getting better.
We're progressing.
I'm Leo Thayer. I have some of the same concerns, Andy, but I think what people need to be aware of is if we get out of the trash business and you go with a private hauler, they almost all require the totes, the same as.
Most of the bigger ones do. There's some of the smaller ones that just have the rack truck. Yeah.
Bags out, but and I think in general, what people are paying private haulers is more than what we pay right now.
Right now.
Right.
But looking forward, it may not be so as we get further into the contract and Wheelabrator the unknown.
Wheelabrator is the unknown, if I may. Okay. But most of those haulers, guess where they bring their stuff? Wheelabrator.
Some do. My private hauler goes to Hardwick. So
Last night, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, right now, on average, we pay about $48,000 a year to Wheelabrator.
Right.
If it doubled, that's another $40,000 to $50,000. And I have no clue, but I don't think it would double. And with the escalators in this contract, I still think if it's not too big of a hit from Wheelabrator, we'd still be ahead of what it would cost even to buy a sticker for Spencer and pay $2 a bag and wait in line for an hour and a half every Saturday.
another thing that we can consider is somebody somewhere bought a dump sticker for North Brookfield. You don't have to be a resident of North Brookfield. They don't even ask. Somebody brought a mattress up there. I don't want to say who, but
That was me.
yeah.
Bro,
And it was cheaper.
get out yourself.
So you bought a dump sticker and it was,
I didn't even have to, Andy. for that. I pay an extra $5. They charge, believe it or not, $20 for a mattress. It was the cheapest place I could find anywhere
Mattress
else
and
was
box spring.
70, yeah.
My son brought a mattress and box
And they
spring.
charged me an extra $5 because I'm not a
They're
resident,
not a stick.
Yeah,
so I gave them a tip.
I have spoken to North Brookfield as a private citizen, not as the town. They don't want to get a contract with us. We really don't want to contract with them. But if you're on your own and you're looking for something to do, my daughter lives in North Brookfield. It was $70 for the dump sticker and it's $2 a bag.
It's $100.
It's an option.
$100.
So, I mean, there's other options. Mike Siri is our solid waste agent. He's also the solid waste agent in Brookfield. He was going to talk to his committee and they really didn't want us to go there. They're good on their own, but anybody can go to Spencer because it's $2.25 for the sticker and $2 a bag. They'd love to have people come there. They opened it up to Charlton. They'd be more than happy to have anybody go to Spencer. But North Brookfield is an option. Private haulers is an option. I had asked Allied Waste, Republic. Sorry. I asked Republic for different options. One of the options I was thinking of, knowing that we, on average, only throw 1.5 bags a week, what would happen if it was an every other week pickup? They really weren't interested because they have personnel. If they have personnel here on Thursday, they want to be here Thursday. So every other Thursday isn't really working with their business model but once again, those of you that only throw away 1 bag a week or 2 bags every other week, however you work it out, you're going to have a big bin and it is going to end up being a flat rate. So
Dan, can I ask you a question?
Right.
Do you only have trucks that service 96-gallon bins? Is that, or can you do smaller?
The engaged public service, no, the truck can handle anything.
Because when I was researching some of this, a majority of the towns in Massachusetts that are on this are on 35-gallon bins because those hold about roughly, I've read 1 to 2, up to 3 bags a week versus these 96-gallon bags, which are made for 7 to 8 bags. I mean, that's a huge household. So I didn't know if that was because your trucks can only, the mechanical arm can only do.
We've got towns that do 35, 65, 95. So our recommendation, town that doesn't have pay throw bags
Yeah.
is 65-gallon trash. If it's weekly, 96 recycling every other week.
Okay.
I have towns I'm talking to right now that are going to carts and I can backdrop and talk about it, but they're weekly, and I'm saying buy the 95 because it gives you flexibility down the road to go every other week. From my standpoint, the whole industry after COVID, very difficult to get drivers, commercial drivers to go on trucks and throw trash. The number one thing for us is to have the same guy on this route every Thursday in the same truck. And what we've found overall is that both the trash and recycling drivers, even though recycling can be lighter, it's the repetitive motion of throwing the bin into the hopper that at some point they're going to get injured and they're going to be out. And at that point, that's when it's really difficult because our service quality can go down because now we got a relief driver in there who doesn't drive in the town all the time, doesn't know the ways around. So from our standpoint, it's tough to get commercial drivers into a truck and throw trash. So the entire industry has moved to automated. In Massachusetts, we won't bid any contract that's manual. We won't do it. A lot of our competitors won't do it. The safety costs, the insurance costs, it's just too difficult for us. We lose people.
Yeah.
We lose people. Other parts of the state, we actually have trucks running with 2 men, which is incredibly dangerous. It's not happening here, and we're converting those as well. Now we also have a contract with a WIN, Willebrand. We have a contract as well. Whatever the town gets negotiated a year, we gladly put whatever our cost is at the 2 end sites. We would use it. We were your contractor for disposal. We'd put it on the table as a safeguard to you. But some of the challenges of using Willebrand there's lines there. So the wait times can be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. On average, it's about an hour and a half, but it can be 2 to 4 hours where what do we do? Do we go get in line and then dump, or do we leave the town early in a jar contract to go pick it up? So we put multiple proposals on the table. We met last week, put a couple more on the table today. We gave you initially and we can pick up any size. So if it's 65, 95, 35.
Does that reflect in the cost or does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So this would be as of July 1st, 27.
Yeah.
So we're not at the point right now of getting bins. This is next year.
Right.
What we're at the point of is the 5-year contract. Do we want to sign a 5-year contract or do we want to look at alternatives
for the one.
for the 1 year, and then from there on. Bob?
Well, Chipoli, is there a competitor to Republic?
Have we ever had another company bid? Because of the recycling?
Early on in our pay-as-you-throw program, solid waste program, it went up a bit. I believe it was the second contract period. And Waste Management at the time came in and bid it. And against, at that point, I think it was Allied, or I think it was BFI, was the original company. And for one contract period, Waste Management came in less expensive. But the next time around, they doubled in price. And it's gone back to BFI, Allied, Republic every time since. You can't, in the Commonwealth, you're limited to 3-year contracts except for solid waste contracts. Those can go 5 years, and in the case of Wheelabrator, up to 20 years for a contract period. We've done several consecutive 5-year contracts with the current company, depending on the name at the time. And basically, each contract period represented anywhere from a 4 to 5% per annum increase in the contract cost, which again is reflective of fuel, manpower, insurance costs, those kinds of things. So we've never experienced, like a 20% hit in a given year. That's never happened. However, we also, and admittedly, have not gone back out for competitive bidding, primarily because the resources available in the industry for a town-wide pickup are pretty limited. Yeah, you can dice and slice with smaller companies, but for the most part, there basically have been 2, maybe 3 competitive companies. And only the last maybe 15 years, 20 years, Casella has come on strong. Is Waste Management. Waste Management has not been a competitive bid for us for years. So to answer your question, Bob, we have not rebid out for a request for proposal yet, but we have negotiated each one of these contracts so that the incremental increases have made sense along the way.
There were some informal discussions a few years ago with some of the local smaller powers to see if they would have any interest.
Right.
Even if we split the town in half, and they all said no, because it's just too much for them.
Mark, can I ask, do you know, because I know Mike Siri's not here right now, but do you know roughly the people who are on private service in town, who they are using? Do you happen to know?
It's a
that?
mix.
Because-
There's approximately 47 people that are on private haul. I'm one of them. When the pay-as-you-throw went, I was running an elevator company. We had the farm. My wife had a daycare center, and our private residents. We had a lot of trash. We still have a lot of trash. I have a 4-yard dumpster. It's a construction dumpster. It's tipped every 4 weeks, so it's 13 times a year. It's much more than what everybody else pays. I currently pay $82 a month, so it's $82 12 times a year. I get 13 pickups. But I can put anything but tires and mattresses in there. I can put construction debris, I can put concrete, I can put all the grain bags and baling twine and, anything from cleanouts. I mean, and I have a front end loader and a dumpster. It's kind of a thing. You try to see how much you can stuff in there.
And you have a dumpster in your yard.
Right. The dumpster is in the yard.
Yeah.
It's a farm. A bunch of other crap in the yard too. But so we have some people in town that have private haul with the totes now, and they pay, $12 a week or $15 a week or whatever. But they allow commercial trash. So
the reason I asked that was because myself and another resident in town who was at the meeting when we decided to have this made some calls, and out of like 8 of we had 4 people who said they would possibly service the town if enough people came off of trash. Mm-hmm. All 4 have bins, one of which is 96 gallons. I don't know the other size. So they will not do bag pickup. It is bins only. So same situation. And the cost roughly is about $48 to $51 a month which is, if you total that out, is close to almost $530, close to $600 a year for service with a private hauler. So keep that in mind too. So I did call, but most of them said right now, they're not going to service the town unless enough people come out because they don't have the manpower, the staff to pick up for 20 people and run all sides of town. So I made some calls just in case you guys wanted to know that information. But like I said, it was Burnett, Dumpster Services, Burdett's, and Durkin's. Those are the ones who actually got back to us with prices.
Now, was that, excuse me, was that is, even with a guaranteed number of customers or just?
So that's what they said. It would have to be a guarantee. Like they have to have enough to say we're interested in providing that service. It has to be cost efficient for them too.
There's no decrease in cost by.
Correct. That is just what they charge for private hauling.
Sounds more like it's a threshold to get them.
Correct. That's
Correct.
exactly how they explained it. They just said we have to hit a point where it's worth our time to come into the town. So
Basically, what I'm looking for is feedback to see how many people would be interested in it. Because if we lose, what is there, 800 and how many?
952.
900 people that are on the service right now. So if we lose 10%, we lose 15%, we lose 20%, the cost of the pickup doesn't change. So, ma'am.
Judy Gagnon, House Street, East Brookfield. I don't like this idea at all. I mean, that's my own personal opinion. I have one bag every other week that goes out. There's only my husband and I. For Republic, they just throw the bins on the ground. You can get a brand new bin and the bin's broken the first time they get it. And then there's days that we hear the truck broke down, so nothing can be picked up. I mean, we're paying for service, but we're not getting the service that I feel as though we should be getting. And also with that, say if I decided not to go with that, do I have to show proof that I had somebody else?
Yep.
Okay, now how would this work? Because I would just take my trash over to my daughter. She has a big dumpster and I could put it there and it would cost me anything.
Currently,
You still pay the fee.
the way that the system is run right now, if you don't have proof that you've had 12 months of service, you have to pay is it 165?
160 it was.
160?
Yep.
160 annually, you just don't buy the bags.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
So if right now, this second, you were bringing trash to your daughters in the trunk of your car in an unmarked bag that nobody knew was there because it's illegal to carry trash over town lines. So under those circumstances, no, you couldn't. However, if we have 10 people along House Street and somebody had a dumpster, you can throw in your neighbor's dumpster. I mean, that is what they do in New Braintree and Barry and Ocam. If you have a guy like me that has a dumpster and the guy across the street wants to throw a bag in, he does. If somebody down the street is doing a clean out, they throw it in my dumpster. When my father-in-law died and they were cleaning the house out, some of that stuff ended up in my dumpster. I mean, it happens. Right now, this second, if you don't have a service, I pay AJ Loterno. If you don't have it, happen to have an EMT here.
We started just a little bit, just for the YouTube audience at home. I had it muted.
So we had originally he was only going to do a 5-year contract, discussing back and forth between Mike Siri. He's done a fabulous job. Mark Carpentier has done a fabulous job trying to beat up Republic
Good job.
to try to get the best deal we can. Once again, the two issues that I have with this is we don't know what Wheelabrator is going to cost. It was a 20-year contract that we're coming to the end of. 41 towns?
30 something. Yeah, 30 something. Yeah, it started off 40, I think 42 or 43
Yeah.
in the original.
In the original group, right. So they're negotiating right now for what it's going to cost. Once again, the advantage of having the contract with Wheelabrator is they take our trash no matter what. Over the years, when they've had breakdowns and they've had different maintenance issues, they still take our trash. They truck it to Ohio, they truck it to New Jersey, they bring it up, put it on a barge, whatever they do with it. They take our trash no matter what. It's a separate contract from Republic doing the curbside pickup. The other aspect is, as Mr. Chiffone was talking about, the recycling center. The dumpsters that are down there, they don't take the tires, but there's another company that does that. They don't take the oil, there's another company that does that. So it's all encompassed in the solid waste department. Solid waste department, once again, how many years ago became a enterprise fund? It is not subsidized at all by the tax rate. It's 100%. It's 100% fee oriented, fee based. So when they have the bulk waste days and they have the dumpsters down there and we have the pay as you throw, it's all fee based. The fees that we're talking about is the 160.
Is
160 annually,
admission to the
right? Annually, but if we have to do it away with the pay as you throw, it would be approximately another 125,000 that would be thrown into the mix. It would be more of a flat rate. It would no longer be as a pay as you throw if we do away with the bags. This would be July 1st, 2027, not the upcoming year. So today we have a proposal for a 1-year deal. If we do a 1-year deal, it's a little more than it is now. And then if we sign for the next 4 years after that, we recoup the extra 7,000 that we'd be paying this year. So it's absolutely fair, but we want to know when it comes down to it, and we have to have bins. We need the input before we just have a truck drop 2 bins off in front of your house and you say, what am I going to do with these?
Deanne, would you like to maybe just mention what you mentioned to me, that maybe we could have residents possibly have input into size of the bins if we had to go that route versus like everyone has to have a 96 gallon bin?
We have a year before the bins get dropped off.
The current vendor that we partner with has an app, so they can choose to, the residents can go to the app and pick the size they want. And just when you go from a page-through town to carts, what some towns have done, I get like pictures of the carts, they go to a 35-gallon cart. Some towns have done that. And they say, okay, we'll give every resident a 35-gallon cart. Whatever's in there is paid for by the town. If I need more than that, they would buy pay-as-you-throw bags. They're calling it overflow bags then. So there's that option as well. We can do either.
Then the driver still has to get out of the truck and throw them.
In most cases, the 35-gallon bag would go on top of the cart, and if they're good, they can get it in. Otherwise, it gets out. It's not fully automated, but it's a heck of a lot better than what.
So would we have the option of having a 35, 65, or 95, or is it all or nothing? Everybody gets a 35, or everybody gets a 95?
That's what he was saying.
Okay. The other issue that I had when we first started talking about this is the snow. Everybody brings their trash out on Wednesday night. If the snowplow hits it and the trash goes everywhere, the highway department is to clear the snow. The highway department isn't going into the woods and grabbing trash. Solid waste department has one guy that does the billing, one guy that screams about contracts. They don't have anybody to go out and pick up the trash. What happens when the bins get knocked over?
Same thing that happens when the bag.
Exactly right, yeah. But then the bins get damaged, and how do they get repaired? How long does that take, and who pays for that?
We included repair the carts in our total repair of the carts.
Right.
If I provided you quotes from the vendor on 2 different, one cart size. So if the town is buying the carts and it's got your logo, your colors, whatever, those are your carts. And only either the town or we would keep a supply of them, or when they're need to be replaced, or people moving and taking it with them or something like that. We'd have to work that out, how you want to work that.
And then the other thing that you were talking about the other night, the private roads, you have a separate truck that would go down into the private roads so that we wouldn't have 14 bins at the end of Stone Road, and we wouldn't have 38 bins at the end of Lashaway Drive. You actually have a smaller truck that would go into the tighter area. Does that include the dead end roads such as Draper and Young and Cove, that the trucks go down now, but
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually talked for a moment during the break. Currently, there are some roads where the residents have traditionally, I'll say, and Leo's Road is one of them, have traditionally ended up bringing their bags and recycling out to the very end of the road where it intersects a main thoroughfare. Since that all started, now there's 2 or 3 homes that have been built here. There's more customers, if you will. What I've seen, and I mentioned it to Dan, sometimes, at least of late, the drivers of the big trucks simply pull up to the end of the road and back all the way in. There's no turnaround. It's not necessary to try and get onto somebody's private driveway with a 20-ton truck. They just back down, load it as they come back out, and they're gone. On a road, for instance, at the top of where I live on Lashley Drive, and all of the roads at the end of Lashley Drive are dirt. They're all private. They're relatively narrow. Even the town, when they plow during the wintertime, is a challenge because trees have grown over the years. You know, that little pine tree this big and this big on either side, now is a 3-foot monster on either side. The road's gotten narrower because the tree's still there. That's a real challenge for anybody driving one of those big trucks now. And that's why we agreed with Republic to say it's not safe. Where they're going to either get stuck, do damage their own vehicle.
Right, but moving forward, it's going to be a smaller truck.
However, the option is there for an additional charge, and it's not a whole lot of money, but the additional charge would cover the pickup, curbside pickup, all the way through those kinds of roads with, in essence, a 1-ton truck.
Okay, would this start on July 1st this year? The reason I'm asking is some of the private roads, the highway department has been picking up, and 2 men from the highway department every Thursday take it out of their daily time that we're paying them on our tax rate to go and pick up trash and then bring it to a central point. So if we do the 1-year deal, and then hopefully if Wheelabrator comes through good and we do this bin pickup next year, then the bins would be active July 1st, 27. But if we signed a 1-year deal next Monday night at the Selectmen's meeting, or 2 Monday nights because Memorial Day, as of July 1st, 2026, will you be picking up all the private roads, including through the winter?
Yeah, and we're willing, we've come up with a proposal, except it's an amount per year. If you wanted to start in June, we'll take a look at doing that if that's what you want.
Well, it'd be July 1st, the new fiscal year.
We would charge you one
month's worth.
1 month of that.
You wanted to start in June, is what you're saying.
And I
We'll
believe,
take a look at doing that.
and don't quote me, Dan, but I think it was like $6,500 or $6,900 or something.
Right, but that would just be in the budget and it would be worked in there somewhere. Yep.
If it's LA waste, 10,000
Per month.
I'm just saying.
The year.
BFI would be 12.
It'd be 12, so 6,500 would be public.
Okay, so we have some options. We're not going to make any decisions tonight. Once again, it's not a posted meeting. We're not going to be making any decisions. What I'm leaning at now that we have the 1-year proposal from Republic, that would probably be the road that we would go down. And then over the course of the next year, as the negotiations with Wheelabrator, and we find out what Wheelabrator is going to do, then we would look at bins. But over the course of the next year, if we can get some bins dropped off at the recycling center, all 3 of them, these are your 3 bins. And if you do any recycling, you go to the recycling center. If you just drop by there and you look at the bins, see what's there, and then plan out where you would put them, because there's a lot of people in town, there's just no place to put them. They don't have a garage. They don't, there's no big sheds or anything. Where are you going to put these bins? And then how are you going to move them?
If I might, Andy, and this is another part of the conversation. When I first moved to town, we didn't have anything like this. We didn't have pay-as-you-throw. We had nothing like that. It's outdated. We didn't know. Okay.
Uncle Bill, my great uncle, sat down at the dump for years, compacted the trash with his Alice Chalmers tractor.
I don't know if anyone remembers. You had your own trash bucket, bin, whatever, black plastic bags, and you figured out how to get them to the dump, and that's where they went. They went in the back. They went in a trunk. If you had a pickup truck, they were in the back of the pickup truck, and that's how it worked. And a lot of people had what I had, and that was the kind of flimsy plastic lidded Sears bucket, And it worked. So you found a place, I still have one of those in my garage.
But now you're gonna have to have two.
What's that?
Now you're gonna have two.
Well, I don't necessarily feel like I'm gonna put them in my garage. I'll put them right outside my basement door and that's where they're gonna sit. It doesn't faze me personally one way or the other. In fact, it makes it a little easier because right now I have our originally presented recycling bins and I have a couple of smaller trash buckets. And my insurance company will cringe on this one, but they are like stepped on the basement steps as I go down the steps because it's the only place I can put these things. So we adapted. I could put them in the basement, but that means everything I recycle has to go down, either in a bucket, bring it down. My point in all of this is, I grant that a 96 or 5-gallon cart is, for most people, not very practical. It's just way bigger than what most people need, but we have options here.
So one of the questions I've had from numerous people and a question I have on my own, if we have the residents that only throw a bag away every other week and they choose to go, for instance, to North Brookfield, is there going to be a different rule or regulation than we have now because they won't have proof of going there 24 for 12 months? I mean, is there going to be some relaxation of that particular rule?
Yeah.
What's that?
They'd have a receipt when they buy the dump.
You have the receipt, you buy a sticker, but
Around your vehicle.
right, not necessarily that you
Yeah, I mean,
have been going there, but it's just that there are some people that are going to say, I'm only throwing away a bag every other week. Why in the world would I want to pay? Because right now it's 160. You have to add the 125,000 for the pay-as-you-throw if you do away with it. And then as the prices go up over the years, we're talking right off the bat, it's going to be 300 plus on its way to
Do you
400.
have any rough numbers at all? Like if we, after that 1 year and if we decided to go to the bins, do we have any rough numbers what that fee may look like? Definitely, I guess there's two options.
It will be entirely based on two things.
Yep.
After the first year. One, what is the tipping fee?
Yep.
Wheelabrator. That's one factor. The other factor is if people are not using pay-as-you-throw,
You have to factor
the
that in.
costs are still there.
Yeah.
So those costs need to be then transferred to the user fee. Because as Andy said, we do 60,000+ bags a year at $2 a bag. There's a roughly $125,000 revenue stream there that is merged with the user fee to pay for the entire solid waste operation, which includes the recycle center. It includes getting rid of white goods, scrap metal, waste oil. All those things are in that budget. Some of them are fee. If you bring a television, for instance, to the recycle center, it's going to cost you something. I think it's, probably like $10 right now. And again, it's because it costs the town, us, to get rid of those things. Nobody just says, oh, sure, we'll pick up all your scrap metal for nothing, even though they're going to make some money on it. There's a charge. They'll take the stuff, but it costs money to get rid of these things. That's how we work an operation in any town, not just this town. So the idea is, if people choose to not use the bags, the cost of the operation doesn't decrease appreciably. So some of that cost needs to be shifted to part of the flat fee or whatever you want to call it.
Right. And then you have to factor in what percentage of people aren't going to participate, because then the entire cost needs to be spread by who's using it. So right now, if we have 900 and 100 people decide they don't want to do it, now the entire cost of the operation is split between the 800 that are left.
Cost doesn't go down with the possible exception of, okay, maybe you don't have to buy 60,000 bags a year. Maybe now you're only buying 40, 45.
Well, I meant with the bins. So once your tippage fee and your hauling is factored in, if you don't have the bags and it's all flat fee, the less people that participate in the flat fee still have to pay the total amount.
It's sad to say, there's a diminishing return with people leaving the system. And it's no different than where we are with water. If people said, I'm going to put in a well, hey, that's one less customer paying the debt, potentially. Yes.
I'm wondering about people with like disabilities or the elders, and there has to be an option that allows them to get their trash picked up somehow, like, again, putting it in their trunk.
Yeah.
Can there be a town dumpster for the people who have one bag a week?
Well, the other thing to consider though, is
Well,
you don't have to put out the one bag. If you want, with these containers, I won't say they're airtight, but they close pretty tight. I mean,
I mean,
they're,
our raccoons and our bears and our, like, I'm also worried people are gonna stop them. They're gonna have bungee, but there's gonna be a mess.
But to,
well, we
but to that defense, I still have that mess now. So I put my bags out, say Wednesday night, because we leave early for work. But we do because we have to leave. And there are plenty of people that put them out. My whole street usually has their trash out. And unfortunately, what happens? 50-50.
That's why we get up early and put it on Thursday.
But not everyone does that. So keep that in mind. Yes, I understand your point, but that still happens currently now. Definitely say, for instance, someone's going away and they're on vacation. They're going to put their trash out Wednesday because they're leaving Thursday or they left Wednesday. Trash bags are still getting ripped open. So there's still that chance of it happening, whether it's getting a bin knocked over and the animals getting in, or they're ripping your bags and spreading it across the whole entire neighborhood. So it happens either way.
I'm worried about people like the long driveways, having to drive.
But what do they do now? So my question is, I was just wondering, so say the town decided we're done with the trash business. That same elder person still has to find a way to get their trash out. So who's still doing it for them then too? It's the same issue. So say for instance, a town, no, I'm just saying, like, I agree with you.
To throw it somewhere locally, throw it not at
The dump, they take trash.
apparently.
No, you're allowed to throw trash at the dump.
The recycling center is permitted for recycling.
But not for trash. 'cause
But we
it's in a
still
flood
accept-
zone.
Yeah, they
There's
still
an open dumpster down there, but it's not specifically a transfer station. It is permitted as a recycling center.
If those people could use that, and then the rest we can.
But if those people bought a $70 dump or a $100 dump sticker in North Brookfield and paid $2 a bag, they could just bring one bag a month to North Brookfield. And it would be actually cheaper than the flat rate.
Maybe
You know, that is an option for people that only have one bag.
then you're trying to keep them in town, right? You're
Right.
trying to keep
But
them-
we don't have anybody that's gonna come to your house and carry your trash for you.
What I'm saying is.
Maybe your next door neighbor would do it for you, but you know, it's,
What I'm saying is what they do now can get to the edge of the street, or they have friends, or can that person still do this without requiring them to have at least not a 90 whatever
Well,
gallon?
and again, I think it's important to understand. People will have choices. If you don't want a 96, you can get a
Well,
65.
that's
If you don't
what
want a
I'm hearing
65, you can get a 35.
Great, yeah.
Dan just mentioned, and this is good information for us. The company that they buy these things from has an app. They have something, a computer app. You can go in and say, I want just 2 35-gallon bins. That's all I want. And hopefully, once we get a sample of these, remember, all of them are on wheels. They're much easier to move, even with a little bit of weight, than having to drag a 30-pound bag of trash up to the end of your driveway. These, you grab a handle and you walk it behind you, or you push it in front of you. So I guess what I'm saying is, it doesn't change the fact that if you generate trash, you need a way to get rid of it. And this represents a potentially easier way to get rid of it.
It'd be great to have the options.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Number one, if we decide not to purchase the packs and let the public supply them, are they then responsible for cost of replacing damages?
Yes.
And if we buy them, we pay that.
No, Dan, you said even if we decided to purchase them, you guys would still do the maintenance on them?
Maintenance on them.
Okay.
Replacement would be,
Okay.
the town would have to replace, we're supplying the carts, then, once we put 951
Yep.
35-gallon carts up there, and the resident loses theirs, then it'd be a cost for that.
This proposal that you have here for C, is this, what I'm reading, it's for us purchasing the cart, no cart rental.
Yes.
So if we went with option C and we decided that next year after the 1 year, if we wanted them to be a lease, could that be adjusted? Or is this strictly going to be,
That's just collection on.
okay,
Yeah, I
The
did.
other thing I wanted to mention is I personally think that, it wouldn't be a good idea to do away with the bag fee. Because and you said it earlier, that most of the towns that have done that, the tipping fees go up, the tonnage goes up. And you also mentioned that when the bags went up to $2, the ratio of recycling to trash going up on the recycling.
Actually,
My fear
the,
is if we go with these big buckets and there's no, it's just a flat fee for the year, everyone's gonna throw their trash and recycling.
the issue with the bins, you can't see through them. The driver doesn't know that there's white bags in it until he tips them and sees the camera. So the camera would then note that at 123 House Street that somebody dumped white bags. They send an email to Mike Siri. Mike Siri would have to see who it was and then bill them. The other option is to open each bin and look in it and leave you a card saying you had a white bag. Next week, if you have a white bag, we're not tipping it. It gets a little cumbersome.
Just to clarify, so if we dump a bin into the hopper, we saw white bags, so non-town bags, and we report it to the town. The following week, our driver would stop at that house before he dumps the cart and open it up and look and say, does it still have white bags? If it does, we would tag it and leave it.
Right.
So we would, that be enforced.
Right.
If a resident.
But what if it wasn't my white bag? You leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, you put your bin out, somebody comes by and throws a bag in there. It wasn't my bag. I mean, it gets a little cumbersome.
At some point, you have to draw a line.
Yeah, I agree.
If the bucket is on the corner of your driveway or on the corner of your yard, and you have neighbors driving by dumping their trash into your bucket, you have the problem, not the town.
Right.
And you gotta figure out, go get yourself a Ring camera that says, oh, Harry, 3 doors down is doing this to me. Go talk to Harry. That's not a town issue. It would be up to the vendor to note when this is happening. Because if you've left for work in the morning and Harry does that, you have no idea that happened. But that alerts you as the homeowner.
But it's still a solid bin that you can't see through, and there's
Agreed.
no way of knowing whether or not there's blue bags in it. So
Yeah, and the other thing is that, again, remember, it leaves an element of control with you, the customer. If you're choosing to put, you only generate a bag in a week, or every 2 weeks, you don't have to drag the bin up there.
Every week,
in it.
yeah.
You just don't bring it up there. And the truck drives by and goes to the next house.
Excuse me, are you saying that we cannot put trash bags in these, we have to put the loose trash?
No, they're talking about town bags. If we kept the pay as you throw the blue bags, putting those in the bin versus not using them at all.
He's talking about the white bag.
He's just talking about if you had a town bag and then someone threw their white bags in, but we require town bags, then.
If we got away from the pay as you throw,
Yeah.
then you would just throw the.
yeah, you throw any bag you want in there.
Leo, I think I want to touch on what you kind of mentioned, because I read that whole study that Mass DEP did about towns that are moving from pay as you throw to bin systems, and about tipping fees and how much more tonnage comes in. And I think Dan and I just actually briefly talked about this. I really think the hybrid model is quite interesting, which is some towns in Massachusetts only give the residents the 35-gallon bins for that reason, to keep the control of how much you still want to spend kind of on the consumer. So if you only have enough room for say 3 bags in there, and you have more than that, it is up to you as to whether or not you're going to purchase the additional bags to put it next to it, which Dan said that towns are doing. Because I am slightly nervous about if we give these huge bins to everyone, over time, as Andy just said, those fees get more expensive, and they're getting more expensive because I think, Dan, you touched on this, Massachusetts is going to be strictly an export only, and that's not changing. That's just going to be completely. And exporting causes all the fees to rise. Am I correct?
Yeah, the amount of times that we have is not enough capacity in states, so we're an export state.
And that's just going to keep going up and up. And so I have the same slightly concern that if you give these huge bins to everyone and everyone's throwing 8 bags in them and throwing whatever they want, how much more tonnage does the town have in tipping fees? So maybe, I think tonight, I think this was a discussion, and then if we decide to go with the 1-year contract, we have another year to figure out those little points.
We'd have to do some modeling to see what the.
But I hope what we get out of this tonight is that you guys realize there are options, and that those options, they're not just, they're feasible in some ways. And I think if it was me as a resident, I would start researching on my own, if I didn't use town trash, what that cost is going to look like. And keep in mind that cost is going to keep going up too, because they use the exact same tipping companies. So their fees are going to rise just like ours. So I think personally, if it was me, I would research what it looks like to go with private service, and also try to figure out if you have room to put them somewhere, could you do it? You know, you're gonna have a whole year to think about this if we sign a 1-year contract.
So kind of touching on that, it seems that there's some concern about the bins and
Yep.
storm and all that. If the town does away with it and we all have to go with private haulers, you're still gonna have that problem.
Yes, exactly.
Mandate that you have a bin.
Right.
All the ones I contacted are all,
That those concerns really are valid, but
It's
because you're gonna be stuck with it no matter
It's a
what.
change. When we went from the dump to curbside pickup, it was a change. People had to do it. You know, the dogs are going to be here, et cetera, et cetera. We still have that issue. The bins are an issue. How are you going to do it? You have a year to figure out whether or not your particular situation and your situation only. Is it better for you to go to Spencer because you work in Spencer? Is it better for you to go to North Brookfield because you drive through that way? Is it better to get a private hauler and then you and 3 of your neighbors split it? Is it better to have the bins? We need a consensus and we need back some feedback before we sign a contract and tie the town into $200,000 worth of pickup. And all of a sudden we lose 20, 30% of the end users because then the costs go up for everybody. So we're just looking for feedback rather than just making this decision on our own. I want to have feedback.
Can I offer a bit of feedback too?
I'm gonna have her go first.
You were talking like 2 bins would be dropped off at your house. Do you have to get 2 bins?
Well, one would be recycling, one would be
one's for
trash.
If you do
Oh,
recycling,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, no.
So it'd be like one blue bin for trash, one green bin for recycling.
If you're only doing 1 bag of trash every other week.
Well, yeah, I would only want 1 for trash.
Shiny trash on.
Yeah, but then, no,
Seriously. Yeah.
I mean, it's very windy, and I can see putting the I mean, you could put a bag out on a Thursday morning, and if it's windy, my bag's going down the street someplace.
Listen, I have a trash bag behind my house and we fill it with rocks on the bottom so that it doesn't blow away in the windstorms.
Well, yeah.
But if you
I
kept
know
it
if we have
sunny-
to stretch-
Yeah, no, I'm saying, I understand the wind factor because ours goes across the yard every day. So
Yeah.
we put ours down, but you're right, that is a concern too. But I guess what Andy's asking is, what do you guys think? Like, he wants some feedback, like, is it worth looking at a 1-year contract and then having a year to figure it out? Is it?
I think the 1-year contract, now that it's an option, is a no-brainer. But then moving forward, we're not springing it on you. You got 3 weeks, get your own trash. You have a year, you know, are there gonna be 10 people that get their own trash? Well, that's fine. You know, that happens all the time. Is there 100? Is there 300? Is there 500? You know, I think at some point in time in the next 30 to 40 years, most of the towns are just gonna say, we don't need to do trash. We can't get out of the police business. We can't get out of the fire business. We can't get out of the highway business. We can get out of the trash business because there is private options. There's a lot of things that we can't opt out of.
Do you think, say before the year's up, if we do this 1 year, would it be beneficial to have another meeting, to have an opinion? Would it be a survey sent out to your home, like, hey, we've thought about it for a year? Like, is there some options we could do?
I'd like to get a handout for the annual town meeting and then have some handouts available either at the library, at the town clerk's office, just to have all the variables.
One thing we need to do is do some projections of what the cost may go up at little bit.
When does that contract come up?
That's July 1st next year. They're just still in
It
negotiation.
goes up from whatever it is now, it goes up 25%, this is how much it's gonna cost
Yeah.
us.
And our rate is less than 25%.
Okay,
We have a rate, field rate with our own contract, so we would.
put it on the table.
So you
Okay.
gotta say that. You're wrong. And our rate in this market for 65-gallon trash, $60 a month to start.
Okay,
So, you know, if you have a great turnout here tonight, if we can have another event, we can bring the carts, we can bring the truck and we have the truck, a demo, and let people wheel on the.
Oh, there's some great YouTube videos of all the trash going flying over the top and then they throw the thing back down. You think they destroy your recycling bin? They could.
all the little kids will be in the front yard.
Unless new for the channel, there's gonna be some really cool YouTube videos on there too. I'm gonna be doing my jobs, guys.
Mrs. Gagnon?
Yeah, another thing I'm worried about too, for me, you know, we have it's a 2-family house. And we still don't rent the upstairs, but I still have to pay 2 bills.
We're gonna talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
a lot.
what's hard, because I have even offered the town a key to that apartment, so they can go up there and see there's nothing there. I mean, that's something, being on fixed on being elderly.
Yeah, if the fees go up, but then you.
Yeah, then I pay
It's-
double.
It's definitely something that we can discuss because there's a lot of abatements that come up. The house burned down, nobody's living there. The house is for sale, nobody's living there. It's a summer cottage, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of different scenarios. But I understand exactly what you're discussing. You have a two-family house, you're not renting out the other one. To gut the other apartment changes the value of the building, and looking forward, it's not really an option. But if it's been abandoned, or not abandoned, but not used in that length of time, that is an issue to be discussed, not here, but it's an issue to be discussed.
Yeah, because.
Because we do have other in town, there's a local business that came in to the selectmen's meeting and asked about their services that we're billing them for. The services were available whether you're using it or not. So to just say that that building is completely not going to be charged anything for service, that's a separate issue. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Mark, did you have something you were going to say?
Mr. Babinski, you have to have something.
Well,
It's on YouTube. You got to say something on YouTube. Come on.
Hey, he might be
Plug for the 200th anniversary for Like Lashaway. Anything?
Oh Christ, I want to get involved with that.
All right.
I was just gonna mention through the chair to Dan from Republic, when the demo comes into town and we get it publicized, 3 size bins. I think it would be valuable. I'm not saying put trash in these bins, but put an amount of weight, ballast into a
Put
35.
weights in there.
Can we get 3 bins at the elementary school on June 10th? June 10th is our annual town meeting, the elementary school
Yeah.
on Main Street, between Uncle Sam's Pizza and the Highway Barn. If we can have a 35, a 65, and a 95 right in front of the door so that everybody walks in, can walk by them.
So come to the town.
That would be,
meeting, okay?
that would be advantageous to us.
So would there still be a dumpster available for people who can't do that up their curb?
Well, we have and will continue to have the availability of
That's my
a
question.
dumpster at the recycle.
It's there, but it's not for everyday usage. We're not encouraging it. That is licensed as a recycling center. It is not a transfer
Not a
station.
transfer facility.
I was told it's there if for some reason you missed.
Missed
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
but it's
keep it
amazing.
there.
There are a few people who miss
every week. Yeah, they show. I've seen them.
They just don't put it out.
We just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
There's certain faces that show up every weekend.
It's so-
There's certain things we've done in town forever that we continue to do.
Okay, that.
I just want to say something.
Is there any-
Can
Can you park on Route 9?
Pardon me.
I guess we'll spark on the sidewalk.
I guess while there's a lull in silence, I just want to say it really warms my heart to see a bunch of people getting out. I hope my town and a bunch of other towns start to see something similar. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for being too loud.
So this is YouTube. This is a trial.
I wear many hats.
He has been elected moderator in Spencer.
Oh, sure.
He has been at the selectmen's meetings. He's going to work on his equipment and his availability to see if he can do. Finance would be great to have a lot of that information put out. Planning board, conservation, possibly Board of Health.
I want to make myself available. I want to also set up systems.
Hopefully he can get to the annual town meeting. We can give that a try. That's
There's
the elementary.
conflict. There's conflict.
Oh, we just,
We had ours.
we're trying to get information out the best we can. Taking an ad in the Telegram isn't really a viable option anymore. So, I mean,
It's a yes approach, everyone. We want to get out there, but we got to go where the people are actually looking. So I'm trying to help. If you have any ideas, I make myself available. This isn't about me. It's about the trash. It's a good way to introduce myself. I'll be around. Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank you all for coming. Thank you for your input over the year as everybody decides what you're going to do. Before we lock you into something that doesn't fit, we want to know. Okay.
Well.